Hey, who wants to take me to the airport?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. 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 Rock, paper, 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 shoot.
Stop it.
Rock, paper, shoot.
Get out of my head.
Rock, paper, shoot. 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 Rock, paper, shoot.
I can't stop.
Rock, paper, shoot. Rock, paper, shoot. Rock, paper, shoot. Rock, paper, shoot. Rock, paper, shoot.
No!
What was that?
That was insane. Alright.
2 out of 3.
Let's do a little friendly game of rock, paper, scissors. I'm pretty good, so watch
What's
out.
the bet?
Well, the loser will find that out at the end of the video. Cheers.
Okay, cheers.
Okay. 2 out of 3.
I'm really nervous. I don't know. Okay. Rock, paper. Oh.
You lost anyways.
No,
okay.
we have to count.
Okay, okay.
Oh, yeah, I see
We'll
what
throw
this
it
one.
out.
I stole
Okay.
the scissors.
Okay, ready? Rock,
1,
paper,
2, 3.
scissors.
No, you on 3, Jackie.
What are you doing?
You go rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay. Now you know what
I've
I'm
done
going to do.
scissors 3 times in a row now. So
Okay.
there's a little 4.
Now I have to think. Ready?
Rock,
1,
paper,
2, 3,
scissors,
shoot.
shoot.
You did it
I
4
told
times
you,
in a
I
row.
did,
I can't
yeah,
believe
I
you
warned
did that.
you.
Okay, ready?
Rock, paper, scissors,
shoot. Yes! Oh, tiebreaker. Okay, I know. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Yay! Don't worry, it'll be a surprise. It's going to be fun for you. For me, I meant.
Okay,
ready?
well, anyway, that was gnarly, and I have no idea what I signed up for, so I'm kind of nervous. So
I'm
anyway,
excited about this.
flustered.
I won.
So we definitely now need bubbles, because bubbles is what we're tasting today.
I need to celebrate my victory, so I can't wait to pour myself some bubbles.
Yeah. So all of these wines, wines that sparkle, wines that have a little effervescence.
Effervescence.
We've got bubbles in a can that are great for everything, and we'll get into that. And then we even have a little bubbly rosé. So my name is Carrie. I'm with Tastings, and today I have Jackie of Amphora with me, my now biggest rival. And she's going to tell us all about these wines.
Cool. Hi, I'm Jackie, Rock, Paper, Scissors champion of 2020, if you haven't seen that. And today we're going to be drinking some bubbles from all over the world. So we have some Italian, some Spanish, and some Oregon. So kind of our neck of the woods in the Northwest. Let's get rolling.
Yes,
Cool.
I'm so excited. I love this wine. It's in a can, but it's still awesome.
So, first winery we are going to is Scarpetta. So, this is a Master Sommelier's project. We've actually done one of their wines in a previous Tastings wine video. But the fun thing is finally campsites are opening up and people are outdoors and the sun is out. So we are camping and hiking and biking and beach, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
And so these are awesome to carry along with you. These are their Scarpetta Frico Frizzante cans. They come in a 4-pack and they're, I think, a little under $3 a can. So it's delicious.
An awesome deal, yeah.
Yeah, it's a killer little deal.
Yep.
So Master Sommelier Bobby Stuckey, who worked at the French Laundry, now owns Frasca Restaurant and owns a wine line called Scarpetta. This is the Frizzante. We're going to actually talk about a couple different styles of sparkling wine today. This first one is what's called Tank method or Charmat method. So There's, we're going to end with the method champenois, which is how you make champagne. But starting with the tank method, which is what they usually do with Prosecco and Lambrusco, and a couple other regions will do this tank method. You start with making a still wine, and then you put it in a tank and add the yeast and sugar, and secondary fermentation starts happening in the tank, but it's pressurized, and so the CO2 that gets let off once the yeast eat the sugar and turn it to alcohol and put off CO2, it gets trapped in the tank, causing bubbles.
Yeah.
So this
naturally
is
happens.
their frizzante kind of Prosecco style. This is 50% actually Trebbiano, which is not typically used in Prosecco. The grape in Prosecco is Glera. So this has 25% Glera and 25% Chardonnay. Just kind of adds a little richness texture to it. So how do you like this?
I love this wine. It's super easy to drink. I mean, I can see, it's the perfect camping, beach, anything, go-to, easy drinking, bubbly. And it's in a can.
Yeah.
It will sneak up on you. It is 10%, but that's why we have it to party.
And this is actually a 250 milliliter can, so 3 of those are equivalent to a bottle of wine. So it's a killer price point, and it's just supposed to be quaffable. And
And
just
it
drink
is.
it, and
It's
can,
crisp and clean. And
throw a little
easy.
splash of juice in there, and
Yes,
make
I
yourself
love
a
that.
funky little mimosa, or
Yeah.
just drink it because it's clean and it's not like riddled with a bunch of sugar like some inexpensive bubbles that you buy. So.
Also perfect for cocktails too. There's a ton of cocktails out there that you need bubbles for, and these are easy. You don't have to worry about opening a full bottle of bubbles. I know sometimes I hesitate on making my French 75s. Yeah, because I don't want to open a whole bubbles.
Yep.
But these are perfect for it, and there's 4 of them.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I love it.
Cool. We're actually going to stay in Italy. We kind of
Yes.
did a little swap around after tasting how cool and salty and powerful that rosé was. So we're going to stay in Italy and move to Veneto, to a really, really cool winery called Gregoletto. This is imported by one of my favorite importers, Kermit Lynch. And this is a really, really cool old house. These guys actually started in the year 1600, so they're over 400 years old. This is Prosecco. They can't classify it as DOCG, so it's a DOC because it's actually under crown cap. I'll tell you the process that this wine is made. It's cool. You see a little cloudiness in there?
So cool.
So this is what's called a col fondo, and this is where, unlike Charmat or tank method, this is actually secondary fermentation happens in the bottle. So primary fermentation, then they bottle the wine and put a crown cap on it, and secondary fermentation happens in the bottle, just like method traditionnel or method champenois, like champagne, but they don't disgorge this. So champagne, you end up riddling and racking and getting all the dead yeast cells out and putting a cork in there and basket and letting it age. These guys actually age it on the lees and then leave the fine lees in there.
Lees is dead yeast.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
and
it adds a little cloudiness. And what these guys say, they actually say you can kind of stir or kind of agitate the Prosecco and mix it in, which we did today. So it's a little cloudy.
so cool.
And it adds a kind of fun, yeasty, there's a lot of pithy kind of
Yeah,
grapefruit
there is,
hit in there, which I
But
really love.
there's still fruit on the wine. I still
so
get
pretty.
some like apple and pear and
Mm-hmm. Pear for sure.
almost like an orange rind thing
Yeah.
going on. Yeah, it's
And
really cool.
the Gregolettos. So these guys actually say if you want to pour the clear liquid off of the lees or the fondo from the col fondo, then you can use that last inch of liquid in the bottle in your risotto. So
Oh,
that's
my
their
gosh.
recipe. You can log on to their website and they have a traditional risotto recipe where they put their Gregoletto Prosecco lees or fondo in their risotto,
Oh my
which
gosh,
is kind
I'm
of fun.
doing that ASAP.
And each bottle has a little different amount of lees at the bottom, so they call it vino vivante or
that's so
living
cool.
wine.
Even
so-
better to buy more bottles.
Exactly.
Experiment.
Yeah,
I'm
totally.
feeling so
This one's
inspired.
I
Yeah,
love
it's
that.
super cool wine. The color's really neat. I think this is an awesome one to bring I say this all the time. I'm so sorry if I'm constantly repeating myself, but it's still a really cool party wine. Because you're gonna pour this bubbly for your friends, and they'll be like, "What the heck?" And then you can be like, "Let me tell you, I know all of these cool facts and why it's this color."
I love it. It is fun, and it's super dry. Sometimes Prosecco's will have a little residual sugar on them,
It's super dry.
and this one's dry for sure.
This is very very dry,
Yeah, it's fun.
which I dig. I love this wine. So cool.
Cool.
Love that there's a risotto recipe.
Yay. All right, now we are turning this one. So we wanted to do all sorts of bubbles and to kind of sparkle up. That's why I wore my champagne shirt for you all. And I snuck a chocolate in there because there are a couple white wines or some rosés like a Pickpool or chocolates that you'll get this slight effervescence, or which I call like a sprightliness, but it's not carbonated. So they don't go through secondary fermentation to make the bubbles like the other three. But there is slight CO2 trapped in the tank. This is all stainless steel. And then when they bottle it, chocolate a lot of times will have a slight zestiness and a little bit of bubbles. Since we already opened this, you're not going to actually visually see the bubbles right now. So this is a really cool winery in Getaria in the northernmost part of Spain. And the cool thing, I actually snagged a little bottle over here to show you. That we also here at Tastings carry the white, which is so delicious with
it's so
all
good.
seafood, and it has that slight tingle and effervescence as well. So that's a really fun wine that's made with 100% Andrabi Zuri, which is the 80% of the rosé is made with that, and 20% is made with Andrabi Belza, which is the red grape in the chocolate
I love when they
region.
do red grapes.
They do
in
red
rosé.
grape.
I love that.
Yeah, red grapes, and this is 20% that, and then they blend the two together. This winery was actually founded in 1905, and they're super traditional house. Most of their vines are, they're in between 10 and 60-year-old vines, which is really cool. Female winemaker, her name is Maria Jesus, and she's third generation winemaker in her family, and her daughter is starting to take over and take the reins. So these wines, they are right on the ocean.
Yeah, you smell it.
Yeah, it's salty, has this
Yeah.
cool salinity to it. Almost has this oyster brine in this rosé this year.
It is briny.
It is chalky. It
Yeah.
it smells like crumbled up white chalk to me. It has
I
some
get a
cool
vegetal.
herbs. Yeah, there's
and
some cool
it's
herbs in here.
Vegetal characters. It's not green though. I wouldn't say green like grassy green. It's just like this vegetal
Yeah,
earth
smell it. There's
thing,
like some
but it's
spearmint.
salty. It's a really cool wine. I mean,
It's
if you
rosés.
want to pour yourself if you're in the mood for something funky, this is it. This
Yeah.
will scratch that itch. It is a cool wine.
There's some really cool spearmint and almost like chamomile, a bunch of herbs and tea and stuff on this wine. But
Oh yeah, I get a little chamomile.
yeah, super salty, high acid. The cool thing about chocolate is it's lower in alcohol and higher in acid. So you can drink more of it, and it's great with all seafood. 1,000,000%, that is what that Basque region
Yeah.
is known for, is their seafood. So I know that Chiquiteo and the Basque Market are doing to-go food. So go support a local Basque-owned, operated restaurant and get some to-go with either the white or rosé with Bodegas Ayas Perla.
Yeah, super cool wine.
Makes
Again,
you
I can't.
salivate.
It is just
Gets ya.
well. When I first tasted it, that tingle hit. Like
Yeah.
you've got that little sparkle in the wine, and then you also have that super high acid. So your mouth is just dancing with
Yeah.
feeling.
I love that. And before I pour this next wine, the reason we're drinking out of these glasses, we have these
yeah.
flutes here. You can use a traditional flute. Use whatever you're comfortable with in wine, whether that be a red solo cup or a champagne flute or a really cool, what are those? The coupes, those old
Oh, I
school
love
styles.
flutes. So
Dress
much
up,
history.
put some lipstick on, and pour into a
Always,
coupe. It's
always.
great.
These are great for parties.
They're great for parties, and they're really sexy, and they keep the stream of bubbles alive and rolling.
Yep.
I tend to like to drink my bubbles out of a more traditional just wine glass, sometimes a white wine glass, because you can smell a lot more.
Yeah.
So if you try to stick your nose in a flute, the wine's not as open, and so it doesn't give you as much aroma. And I tend to love the nose. Sometimes I'll sit there and smell a wine for.
You're so much more formal than me. I'm like, no, I want to look like I am laughing. I want the flair.
Want the flair. Sometimes I'll sit there and smell a wine for minutes before I even taste it. And when we were doing our warm-ups before, I couldn't stop smelling this wine. And so it's really cool.
Apple, like
Oh my gosh.
just right,
It's
the juice,
yellow,
the skin,
it's
the whole
juicy.
thing.
Yellow
Oh, the
apples,
apple.
crazy. This wine is really, really fun. And for me,
it's
all
so
three of
good.
these wines are delicious in different ways. I love the Colfondo style. These are super fun and funky for hiking and camping and golfing. And rosé season's upon us. So
Yeah.
if anybody's having any type of seafood, just grab that Iasbroa. This wine to me is super special. This is a winery in Oregon called Mellon Meyer. And the owner and winemaker, Bobby Rowett, actually is from Boise. So he,
Awesome.
he went to U of I, he worked at the Boise Co-op Wine Shop, and he actually apprenticed under Melanie Krause at Cinder Winery, which is
Nice.
really cool. And then he was just really interested in making his own wine and wanted to learn old school methods. So he moved to France and worked at Mastic Gourgagnier for a while. And he started Mellon Meyer in 2013 in
Oh, okay.
Willamette Valley. Their winery is right at the top of Dundee Hill,
Oh wow.
and he makes all sparkling. And so he kind of interned under a sparkling winemaker in Oregon, and he makes his wines all method traditional or method champenois. So it's time consuming, and
Yeah.
it costs a lot of money to
Yeah.
make sparkling wine, and he's just doing everything right. His wines are gorgeous, and
This
No,
over delivers for the price.
it's killer price
Yeah.
point. And this is Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, which are two of the most expensive grapes there are. Pinot Noir especially. This blend actually this year ends up being 30% Pinot Noir, 70% Chardonnay, and the Chardonnay is aged in Oregon oak, which
I
is
love
really
that.
cool.
That's so cool.
It's really fun. They
Yeah.
have cooperage in Oregon, and so he buys Oregon oak, and then the Pinot Noir is aged in French oak, and it's aged on its lees for 2 years before they disgorge, and they disgorged this about 1 year ago, so now it has an extra year of bottle age, and it is just luscious. And if you're used to drinking champagne, which can get pretty spendy a lot of the time, this will be your go-to in this sparkling session because it's made that same style. It's rich and kind of nutty and yellow
it's
apple.
so cool.
and
It
it's fun.
picks up all of the things that you just talked about. I get a little baking spice from the oak. I
Yeah.
get like that. It has the leaves and it still has like that bready thing going on. Like it's super cool, but still it's like it still has that fresh apple thing going on that I love in my bubbles. It's a
Me
super
too.
cool wine.
Yeah,
So delicious.
it's really cool. There's also, this is a fun little tidbit on this wine. 25% of the juice in this wine is made from a Solera type cask. So what that means is each year they're adding a little more Chardonnay and topping off this barrel. And so this wine is actually a non-vintage because 25% of the juice that comes in here comes from this Solera style wine, meaning grapes all the way back from 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, probably stop at 18 because then it's 2 years a bottle. Yeah, so it adds this cool oxidation and kind of nuttiness to it. So
Yeah.
there's just a lot of richness and texture to this sparkling wine. And so
And a
I'm
little
really
taste
proud of Bobby. He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
He comes to Boise all the time, and his wines are absolutely delicious, and we're super lucky to carry his wines in our portfolio.
Yeah, and you get a little taste of what the vineyard was doing throughout the years. You know, there were little
Exactly.
Chardonnay grapes, so super cool. I dig it. I love this wine.
Celebrate too.
Yes, I need some more.
Successful
So,
Idaho winemakers.
well, before I pour myself more, I will remind you that again, all of this wine is 15% off if you purchase all of them at once. 10% off individually. They're all awesome. I mean, really, we're about to. Everything's opening back up, and we can have backyard parties again. So buy those bubbles and celebrate, or just buy the bubbles like Jackie and I and drink them. Anyway.
So I have what you're gonna do for your losing at rock, paper,
I don't
scissors
think
here.
they want to find out.
Just all you have to do is open this bottle of wine for
That you just shook?
for Sarah.
That
Here.
you just shook the crap out of? That's rude.
It's gonna be fun. Let's just do it.
That's rude. I'll do it though.
I'm a professional.
Well,
Okay.
that is kind of horrifying.
I think it's gonna do.
I think
it's
that's
gonna
a good.
work. It's good. Okay.
You're good.
Okay, you can teach
Okay.
everybody how to open a bottle
Yeah,
of
I'm going
bubbles.
to also teach everyone the proper way. I'm super right hand dominant, so and they won't let me point it at Jackie. So
Like I can
this is going to be actually a little clunky because I am right-handed. But that's fine. It's fine. So what you do? Take the foil off. Step 1.
usually don't shake it up first.
You do not
Unless it's a
shake it.
party. Sometimes
Unless you
it
want to
works.
like really ruin someone's life.
Weddings or
Put your thumb over the cage and untwist the cage the right way, not the wrong way. Pull that cage. Now it's called live. So that pressure, if you move your thumb, which I won't do, can explode the cork if it's like that. So now we're going to open it. Put your hand to slide it right over and twist the butt of the bottle. That's the you twist the butt of it, and then you just open it, and it's okay. Well,
wasn't that bad?
anyway.
You didn't even get wet.
Well, no, well, no, I
I
did.
beat you at
So-
rock, paper, scissors. You didn't even get wet.
Well, as our motto goes, life is too short to drink bad wine. Cheers.
But there is slight CO2 trapped in the tank. This is all stainless steel. And then when they bottle it, chocolate a lot of times will have a slight zestiness and a little bit of bubbles. Since we already opened this, you're not going to actually visually see the bubbles right now. But it's a little lighter and fluffy and fizzy. So this is a winery from Spain.
Oh no, I have some gas.
Yeah,
so.
you do have a little.
Oh man, I do not. Sometimes the words out of my mouth, I am so
Can't take her
sorry,
anywhere.
Internet.
so, whoa. So
Anyway.
this is a winery called Bodegas Aizpurua. I'm gonna pull myself together here to grab myself. You're just need a little drink. A winery called Bodegas Aizpurua, and this is from Guitarria.
Can we